Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. I do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And I greet you and hope that all of you are in the best shape that you can be. And howdy, Susie, and howdy, Barry, and Chloe just showed up. I'm starting 5 minutes early because I was ready. And they kind of blasted my head with this subject for this evening. So it's like, I most of the time on Tuesdays, Wednesday mornings, after I get done with doing Native American stories with Robert V. Um, I'm usually still wound up a little bit to do a show later on. So, but anyway, here it is Wednesday morning. Um, Not Tuesday. Anyway, um, and in reading through the headlines in the news and stuff, and listening to a few reports here and there, and doing my watchman's journey, my journey. Well, that is part of my journey, but doing my watchman's thing and keeping up with what seems to be going on. Johan, how are you? And right back at you, Johan. Dancing gypsy. Let's all dance. Exactly. But I noticed that, of course, I've talked on this subject kind of sort of for a while, in that, there's always confusion, there's always chaos. But here recently, there's always chaos in the universe, just as part of the universe. But in my discussion between myself, what's the difference between chaos? Well, there's the chaos theory, and there's chaos, and there's natural chaos, but then there's turmoil. Well, turmoil can create chaos, or can chaos create turmoil. And it's like, but the turmoil is like, but in there's chaos everywhere, but it doesn't necessarily mean that with chaos there is fear. But when there's turmoil of different types between political parties, between different countries, between brothers and sisters, between just all kinds of stuff, there is turmoil, that there's always some kind of fear associated with it. So, not to say that people aren't fearful of the chaos theory, but they're more fearful of the turmoil in the UK, or I'm sorry, that was a slip. Ukraine, okay, in the UK. And here's about a couple of sentences about the Queen. Okay, she was a grand old dame, you know, and she was the monarchy of the. But I'm like, ain't you old enough? Shouldn't she have passed before now? Whether she was a reptilian lizard or not, and ate children, I don't know. But to the point, though, I'm not saying good riddance, but it's like she lived a grand old time and all that good stuff. Okay, so bury her already, but they got to parade her around the country and do all that kind of stuff. And it's like, all righty, everybody to see the casket. Is she even in the damn thing? But they're parading her around. So it's like, all right, you know, God save the queen. Well, now it's King whoever it is, right? But to the point, the monarchy and all that, and that's all right. She was a grand old lady and went through a lot of turmoil, had a lot of turmoil in her life, was the okie dokie, enough already about the queen. But it's going to go on for a while. So, But that's my 10 cents about the Queen. Now, it ain't 420, but this is special. Every one of them is special in some way. I'm not saying good riddance to the Queen, but I'm just saying out with the old and what's new coming in. I'm just saying. But anyway, when I'm old and feeble and useless, then okay, put me to pasture. I'm already in the pasture, kind of thing. But so anyway, I'm not trying to speak ill of her. I'm just saying, after all them years, okay, let's next. You know, End of an era. Next, let's see what happens. Next, and they're going to try to create turmoil over this. You can bet. Those folks who are over in England who are like, we're glad the Queen's gone, for crying out loud. Well, I ain't saying it that way, but okay, next. So, but there's turmoil because, there are people who are claiming that the Queen was this, and the empire of the United Kingdom was such that they invaded India and places, and, and here and there. And well, the British are the ones that supposedly dropped off the first, you know, Australians onto Australia as a penal colony. And so why is Australia so British? Well, because supposedly, and in a lot of ways, yes, that's true. They were taken to Australia as a penal colony for British, whoever. So it's like okie dokie. But was it the Queen that did it? Was it the UK? Was it England and the power? And we could bitch and complain that we had issues with the crown ourselves with in America. But it wasn't the Queen that did it. So some of the quote, some of these slanderous things about how the Queen was a part of, all these assimilations and assassinations. That look what happened during World War II and World War One, and what happened to the British and the bombing of, London and all of, so there's a lot done to the English people also. So the British Empire kind of thing, yeah, 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 it's more turmoil, you see. It's more let's have an argument. Let's get people riled up and not necessarily fearful, but pissed off. So, but they're creating turmoil over that. So she's dead. Okay. She lived a long life. Okay. There was a lot more good done in her later life after the war than one could argue that, all of the British Empire stuff, but that's another story. So, but then there's turmoil in politics. Now, Biden's speech a little, a week or so ago, and he's standing and went in front, and red bricks and all. It was a very ominous scenario where they had set him up with a military person on either side back in the background, and he's talking about the fascism and how bad these MAGA folks are, and how bad that and they're all it's the scourge of this new era, and if we don't get rid of them, but I am the uniter. Now, if that ain't so much bullshit as we all can, what I am the uniter, but these people are going to bring down the United States. Well, Uncle Joe, what have you been doing here this last year and a half that's like got us all in such a strain? You, Mr. Joe, have the United States in a turmoil, and that you're trying to spread fear. And because you must fear these MAGA folk, you must fear these Republicans. Well, wait a minute. I was a lifelong Democrat, and now I'm leaning towards this quote conservative side. I don't, believe in half of the stuff that the Democrats are spouting these days. And I think to myself, of the holy goodness gracious, because I don't follow and toe the line of the Democratic Party like I used to, I am now some kind of fascist, or I'm an enemy of the state because I have switched my politicalness because the Democratic Party has changed, and so has the Republican Party, but they're still, um, if the American people don't think that there's good old boys in the Democrats who have plenty of moolah, just like in the Republican Party that have plenty of moolah, forget about it. But the ideology of what some of these people are but so I don't believe that, the border should be open. I believe that, go ahead and finish the damn wall, keep millions of people from just crossing our border. I don't care if we have immigration, but come on, let's control this a little better, right? It ain't got nothing to do with politics. It has to do with common sense. And so, these people that are busing the illegals to Washington, D.C., and to Chicago, and to um, New York City, every single one of them that crosses the line ought to have a speed ticket to Chicago or New York or DC or, send them to Connecticut. Isn't that where Biden's from? Up there, New Hampshire. Send them up there and just dump them off. Here you go. Here's $20 and you know, and we'll get you a room. But adios. I mean, people want to say, well, that's being cruel. Well, they're the ones that walked across the freaking desert. They're the ones that got here illegally. They're the ones that had to make deals with coyotes and the cartels and everything. How'd they get across the river? Just saying. So, and then all of the stuff that got them across the border to begin with, but we, because we give them a bus ride to a sanctuary city and drop them off, somehow we're the bad guys. Really? See, turmoil. They want to keep the turmoil going. But why should the southern border suffer all of the pain of this? They shouldn't. Okay. Give them, send them to someplace. Y'all, but you ain't staying here. Y'all go home. It's bedtime. I don't care where you go, but you ain't staying here. Okie doke. You cross the border, fine, but you ain't staying here. That's it. Well, where do you want to go? Who cares? They don't care. They crossed the border because they wanted into the country. Now what? Who knows? So more turmoil and more millions of people in the country. Now I have this odd, quirky thing to kind of go along with this turmoil, in that the decline of children being born within the United States. So, and there are a lot of baby boomers and other folks too that are getting cancers and this and that. And I've had a lot of friends pass away these last 2, 3 years, to the point where me and my friend Tom, sorry, Tom, I used your name again. But, we're having a conversation. Who's left within our group? What about, no, they passed. What about this? No, they're gone. What about, no, they're gone too. Well, did you know that she's passed away? Yeah. When? Well, 2 years. What? Yeah. But what about this person? We're the only two that we can think of that are still standing. And it's like, wait a minute now, that's a lot of friends who are around our age, a lot of boomers that are like cashing out early, if you will. They're not living into their 70s and 80s. There's very few of us who can claim that they're 70. Now, I can claim um, that I'll be 70 here in a couple of weeks. So, but when I look around, but there ain't many other folks. Now, there's still many of my classmates that I graduated high school with that are turning 70 this year. But I mean, just local friends and neighbors, no, a lot of them have passed away. And recently too. So it's like, so we're losing members here in the United States. So these millions of people crossing the border, this is a weird, but um, are they taking the place of the kids that aren't being born through gay parents or just, there's not the amount of people being born like maybe there should. We want a population drop. We want a population decrease. So are these millions of people crossing the border, are they taking the place surreptitiously for those that are dying of all ages, not just the baby boomers, and for those children who are being aborted and or who are not being born because of difference in marriages and so forth. And now that's just an interesting what? So a lot of people dying, whatever, but so they need replacements. Hey Teresa, how you doing? I know it's early in the morning for you. But anyway, um, so even within the Catholic Church, for example, the Pope is shunning all these people who won't go the new Catholic way. And there are a lot of, there's almost a third of Catholics now that would like to bring back the old Mass, or at least be able to um, perform the old Mass and go to that service. So there is turmoil within the church, which has many Catholics and Christians fearful of what's going to happen to the Catholic Church, and it's on the decline, and so the turmoil, no matter where you look, there's turmoil in businesses, there's turmoil in the farming industry, there's turmoil in local governments, there's turmoil in education. And so this has this fear factor elevated. And you can't help but see some of these folk who say, well, I'm fearful of my child going to school, blah, blah, blah. Whether it's critical race theory or whether or not it's, children. A friend of mine who just turned 14, who last year told um, her teacher, no, I'm not wearing a mask. It's not a mandate anymore. And so her girlfriends stood up to their teacher, who said, well, we're sitting here together. You all must put on a mask. And they were like, nope, sorry, but you can't make us. And that's, school age children. And, the fact that after these last 2 years, they're still trying to implement turmoil into the public schools because some of these weirdo craphead blah blah nasty word people are scared, and they want to wear a mask, so everybody else should follow suit. Well, I was very proud when I went to the doctor last Thursday and he wasn't wearing a mask. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Let me take mine off. But 2 weeks earlier, he was wearing a mask and people in the thing. But then the CDC came out and was talking about we really don't need masks anymore. So a couple of the nurses, got the mask down, and a couple of them got it hanging off their ear, and a couple of them got them down under their chins. But he's not even wearing one. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And I pulled mine off. So, it's not mandatory. There are people walking in and out of the hospital. When I was there for my CT scan, which I got to go in on Thursday and have another one done, different area. This will be of my chest. But that, the mandatory got to have a mask on everywhere you go ain't there no more. So the turmoil of it. Now I can understand walking into the hospital and going into that. I can not verify, that's the word that keeps wanting to come out. I can understand the validity of wearing a mask in a hospital. Okay. But, if you're just going in for an x-ray and you're not around other patients and you're not visiting or whatever, and that's sort of the way it was when I was in there on the 1st. Well, I'll be there on the 15th and we'll see how it goes this time. But the idea, though, that I can see how that makes sense. I'm in a hospital. It is tentatively, there are germs about, even though we've proven that it doesn't really matter. I could see doing it. But even that's laxing up. So it's like, so sensibility is coming back to people, but there are so many people that are still scared of it. They're still driving around with masks on. Nobody's making it mandatory. So when you see somebody with a mask, it still is creating turmoil in the brain because I want to say, haven't you idiots figured this out yet? You're driving in your own car with it on? Have you not a lick of sense in your brain? Okay, wear it in the store, wear it in the hospital, wear it in public places. You're driving in your car. So, but people who see these other people, because these other people are still in fear, which creates a backwards turmoil. Why are these people afraid of, why are they still wearing masks? I ain't going to get onto them about it. I want to say, what's wrong with you shitheads? Have you not figured this out yet? But I have to be kind. I have to understand their point of view, whatever it is. But they are living in fear if they're wearing the mask. It's obvious, you know, if you're wearing a mask still, you're living in fear. Now, if you're going in the hospital and you're around other people, that you okay, I'll let that fly. But if you're driving down in your car, that's just plumb fear. And it is because of the turmoil, because they're still, now they're telling people, get this. If you take one of these new vaccines with the RNA thingy in it, the splice or whatever, oh, it might actually help cure cancer. Well, there are so many people that are still having side effects from some of these vaccinations and getting sick, and some folks have died from it. But no, let's go shoot up again. Ooh, we got a whole new round. So go line up. Now, the turmoil that they're bringing up is, now they've got these commercials out where the one partner is saying to the other, well, I think you really should get vaccinated. And the other one's like, well, and the other partner, the other person, it's a brother, it's a family member, it's a mother, it's a somebody. And they're having a conversation sitting on the couch. And, I've had my vaccination, and, for my sake, shouldn't you get yours? What? Aren't we over this shit? Honestly? So they're showing people sitting on the couch. Family members, no, I'm not getting it. I'm sorry. All my other family members have. Some of them have gotten sick anyway. Not me. I was tested in the hospital twice, passed. Nope, I don't have anything. And I have not had symptoms, flu-like symptoms. I had a heart attack and I had walking pneumonia and I was sick in other ways, but I did not have the flu or the virus or whatever. So yeah, I know I live out here in the sticks and I don't go around much anymore and I'm not around too many people. I get all that. Okay. But at the same point, I didn't get a flu shot. I haven't had flu shots in years as I have recommended. Other people have gotten, have followed suit with me, not because I said so, but for their own reasons. They haven't had a flu shot in years and are much better off for it and have been. So, but there are those folks who are going to argue with me and other colleagues of mine, I'll say, not that we are, but we're colleagues in that we say, nah, I don't want a flu shot. No, I don't want a vaccination. No, I've had enough drugs in my lifetime. This new stuff, no, sorry. I don't want it. I'd rather just take my chances naturally, a la natural, right? So, but this idea though that now they're trying to shame us into getting a vaccine, even though there's no COVID, that's really they're trying to push it like they're trying to push monkeypox. And when you get right down to the nitty gritty with monkeypox, it's mostly in gay men that it's being spread. And of course, it's being spread into the population because there's so much intertwining of folks doing weird stuff together that but oh, monkeypox this and monkeypox that. Well, there's more issues with oh, it keeps jumping around in my shingles. And for every single one of us that have had chicken pox or the measles, but chicken pox, any single one of us is subject to getting the shingles. So there are commercials about shingles, but everybody else, oh, well, what about this and what about that? They're trying to create turmoil. Now, they're using the fear of previous things to, well, you must get this vaccination. Well, why? Because, well, you might get this. Okay. Um, so there are people who are already committed to the vaccination theory. Ooh, if I get this, I won't get that. Okay, dope. I'm in. Oh, and you're going to give it away? Okay, I'm in. Not going to cost me nothing. Okay, shoot me up. All right. Now, I used to have this frame of mind years ago. But then when they started doing this one for the young girls of 14, and then they said, oh, well, it's not just the young girls, it's also the whatever papillomavirus or something. No, then they said, no, the young boys should get this vaccination as well, not just the girls. Because it can be passed along and it could be this. So now the young boys need to be injected and subjected, you know, because you might get this. Okay. So they're creating the turmoil, which creates the fear. And then the fear is there are those who go, yeah, I don't want no stinking shot. And then the other ones are going, oh, yeah, but you might get it. Okay. And I might get hit by a meteor, Um, by the way, the moon is very high in the sky. It has like jumped across the sky this full moon, like lickety split. Went outside to check the temperature in the sky just before I started this, and oh my God, it is beyond straight up overhead. Amazing, anyway. But from a Earth wobble point of view, woo wee, we're wobbling, y'all, and so's the moon. But it sure is pretty out tonight. I gotta say, it's like 69 or 68 degrees. It's finally into the 60s here, but it is only the 13th, actually the 14th of September. So it is a little early, but I ain't complaining. I love it when the cool weather comes before my birthday. Yum, yum. But anyway, so with the fear factor, so that we as like human beings, like humming beings, we got to keep humming along. We got to see some of this stuff for what it is. There are a lot of people that are, quote, waking up to some of this, but they're still fearful in certain ways. Well, you know, could there be weird stuff in the vaccinations that are whatever? And they go, well, I don't really know about that. But as a precaution, because all these other people are getting their updates and um, vaccination boosters and things, and oh, the flu season is coming up. Flu season's always coming up, but let me get mine out. Oh, and now there's this new one for this disease, and oh, there's now a new one for that disease. And now, if you get this particular one, it may actually, because of the RNA and stuff. Hey, Michelle, have I missed anybody? But that you may get this vaccination too, and it's for, they're promoting it now for the younger folks. They're promoting it now more for, teens and these folks. And what is it creating? It's creating turmoil. There are parents and grandparents who go, I don't want my, and then there are those grandparents who are going, oh, in my generation, you better take that vaccine because it may save lives. And the polio vaccine, and we remember what that was like. And but the same ain't true nowadays. But so we have to look at what are they doing with this. They're going into a whole new set of fears. They have to keep the turmoil going. The election, the the pros and the cons, the whether or not it should be legal to kill your baby or not inside the womb. They use a vacuum cleaner and suck out that little sucker, and so it's like um is it legal? Yes or no? And should it be legal? Is it morally correct? Yes or no? It's up to the mother because she's the one that's going to ultimately pay for that. But then there are the fathers, and I've discussed the abortion thing before, and I won't go into it. But the idea that, there are a lot of men who suffer from the abortion thing. It ain't just the women, and it ain't just the this, and it ain't just the that. But they want to make it an issue. Now, okey doke. Um, I think some of the laws in the state of Georgia, I think, has gone way backwards to the Stone Age, where if a woman wants to seek an abortion, she could be charged or some nonsense. No, I'm sorry. That's, and there are certain cases where to abort a fetus or, a premature or something is to the benefit of the child. Unfortunately, it's going to die, but the answer is, and so could the mother. I have mentioned this before, and there is, a compassionate, and you say, have worked with children with that are macrocephalic, meaning their head is swelled, and microcephalic, where the person's skull is too small for their brain. Both results in severe mental retardation. And so, if you know this is the situation, you go, oh, but it's a loving child. Yes, but this, um, the old terminology was a waterhead, which is basically still true. They put a stent in or a shunt or whatever that drains the water off the brain, but these folks ain't got a chance in hell of even walking or speaking, and they're gonna live their whole lives this way. And you go, well, yeah, but it's humane. Is it humane to put these folks through their entire life of being a mongoloid? Mongoloid's different, but But still, to the point though, to these folks who will never get out of a wheelchair, who will never utter a word, but yet it's inhumane to allow them to die at childbirth or something. We should keep them alive at all costs. Seriously? Have you ever worked with these children? Have you ever seen that they are never, ever, I'm sorry, they're only going to be a draw on humanity. They need constant care. I mean, 24/7, got to be there, got to do. And, but you're going to commit human beings to taking care of this, in a lot of ways, just a vegetable. And to me, it's like, nah, there ought to be a law about that, in my humble opinion. Oh, we can't kill the child. We can't let it just die. We got to keep it alive. Why? You know, this child is never, ever, even, God bless, miracles happen. Yeah, but this child is basically brain dead from the get go. But you want to keep it alive because it's a human being. Yeah, okay. Well, let's give some of them other human beings that are less physically flawed and give them a chance. Now let's abort all these millions of babies. And so we're going to abort 1 million babies this year. So we're going to let 1 million migrant workers and let them bring children in to make up the difference. Hmm. Is that their big plan? You know what I mean? In this convoluted, because it's frustrating, 2 million new folks came into the United States with no job, no income, no no housing, no support, no nothing. 2 people to be put on the system, and because of changes that were made back 15 years ago ish, in the Obama administration time, it's they end up getting Social Security. So money that me and my baby boomer friends, who many of them are passing away quick, paid into the system, only to allow 2 million new immigrants without jobs and so forth. Where does that money come from? Ultimately, quote, from the Social Security system that pays them, and through Medicaid when they're too poor, and they get subsidies, and they get state Medicaid and services, which draws upon the people who were born here, and draws upon the people who have tried to live in this country as an American citizen, and who really, if anybody's going to get the services, deserves it, versus somebody who's never been here and is now, an immigrant, migrant, whatever. Now I gotta say there are many migrants and immigrants who live down here in South Georgia, and they're hard workers, most of them. But are some of them taking advantage of the system? Oh, you betcha. And that just is very unfair. I knew of families who were flying in from Mexico into South Georgia, North Florida, Tallahassee. Uh, they've got a very good hospital there. And Thomasville's got Archibald. It's a very nice, up to date hospital. Flying in from Mexico to have their children here in the United States, staying 3 weeks with friends or neighbors or whatever, and then going back to Mexico and leaving the bill to us, period. I mean, I know 4 different families. One lady had 2 of her children here because it's so much nicer than in Mexico. It's not as crowded. So, and it was worth the plane trip up here to have their children and then fly back to Mexico when the child was, you know. So 6 kids in all in the families that I was acquainted with that had relatives from Mexico who did this. in Thomasville, over the course of about 4 or 5 years. That's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Who do I complain to? Nobody. Because the way it's set up, that's the way it's set up. Now, so, we could cry wolf on this. Hey, Susie Q. Deborah, how are you? Wow. What did I nail? Rockford, Illinois got 60 illegals Monday and more coming. No offense, but good for them. Oh, we got Mexicans all over the place down here, but at least they're working. All right, they are looking for jobs and they are trying to work. And I do agree that the immigration system sucks. In order to become a United States citizen and all this other stuff, it's ridiculous what it is. It is absolutely ridiculous. Do the laws need to be changed? If you're in the United States and you want to become a citizen or even a dual citizen, sign up here. Can you speak a little bit of English? You know, I was talking with Robert V on his channel tonight, and if you're an American citizen and you go to Mexico, you can't buy property. At least you couldn't a few years ago. Friends of mine came back from Mexico going, "Did you know that Americans can't buy you have to have a Mexican spouse in order to be able to, and then it don't really belong to you, it belongs to your wife or your husband, depending on who's the American in the deal. But Mexicans can come up here and buy property. Several folks that I've known over the years own 2 or 3 houses in Thomasville, and own a beach house down, at Alligator Point in Florida. A whole lot more moolah than me, and he's a naturalized citizen. Okay, but he is at least a citizen. But he's got several illegals of his family living with him and around him, and they all get the benefits that illegals or migrants get because they have decided not to take the tests. Why? Because if they take the test and become citizens, then they don't get the benefits. So the benefits keep them from becoming American citizens. Even though some of them have been here over 15 years, they still get those immigrant benefits and drawing off of the American, okay. So if they can get it, why not, right? They know a good deal. But so what's wrong in America? It creates turmoil. Now, among the Mexican community, um, they've got special numbers on their cell phones that will alert them when immigration is nearby. Why? Because I was working at a Mexican restaurant in Thomasville and I heard this beep 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 going off all over the restaurant, and all the staff looking down their folks and looking at one another and waving, and the next thing you know, all the wait staff and the kitchen staff, all but 2 people, are gone because they're all illegals, and they were warned that the INF, international, anyway, looking for illegals was going to be there any minute and checking on folks and getting your cars and run, and you'd hear the cars peeling out of the parking lot out back going, what the hell just happened? 7 people just disappeared. you know hey, witch moon. Well, I haven't been reading the oh, it's 1:24 a.m. I missed the 20, but not for long because I'm gonna hit this. But most of but here's the thing about the turmoil, and I'm talking about this to all other folks and things and stuff, anybody else that might pitch in and listen to this. But we have to Hey, Witch Moon, rest in your eyes. That works. But we need to make sure that we don't get drawn into this fear. We need to stay clear of the fear. Clear, clear that fear. Clear that stress. There are things that I have to watch. Lord have mercy, my lovely friends. They go, you got to watch this. But I don't wanna. You got to watch this. But it sucks, but you got to watch it because you got to know what these people are doing. So, well, let's pick it up at 25. There you go. So we're 5 minutes late. Big deal. We'll hit it twice as hard, which I can't do because lungs and heart, and I'm trying to slow down. But I have to sip it. Cheers. I have to sip my pipe now instead of just taking a big whole gulp. like like I used to gulp beer and liquor. Well, not so much liquor, but beer. Got to learn how to sip. So, but as the fall of the season is obviously here because I have spider lilies blooming all over the yard and around. It's amazing. They're so cool. But this is harvest moon last night and tonight. It's beautiful outside, and it's literally above 90 degrees overhead. It's really comes slinging up over. But we got to stay out of the turmoil. And one of the things is that, it's one thing for you and me to stay out of the turmoil, but when our friends and family and close folks around or neighbors or whoever, when they're caught up in the fear and the turmoil, it has, you know, they, it have, because they're in it, no matter how good we are at trying to stay out of it or at least stay neutral, we're still affected by it. You know, it's like we just can't help it. And somebody's like in a bad mood or a sour mood, it's all about this, and they call and whine and moan and pour their hearts out to you, and you're being the best friend or relative or whatever, and you're trying to understand, and you're just like, oh my God, the negativity, the fear that these people are putting on me, the discontent, the yada, yada, yada that they want to dump on you. And so you want to be nice. And everything's okay. And you're trying not to fall under the spell. But because they have discussed their woes with you, some of which you may agree or whatever, but being the being in the observer position, it's hard not to get affected by it just by listening, you know? So, because you're thinking, oh my God, this person is living in fear, and this person is living in turmoil, and this person is being affected by this, and oh my God, their lives are a shamble, and that's affecting you, right? Because you're observing what they're discussing with you, or sharing, or pouring their heart out to you, or bitching and screaming about, however it goes, but it's hard not to be affected by it, whatever that it is. And so we have to share this with each other, our frustrations. Oh, did you hear this about blah, blah, blah? Oh my God, you're kidding. No, and now we're listening. So it is going to create a turmoil in how we're thinking because we've learned this new little tidbit of information, right? Oh my God, what are we going to do now? I don't know. Oh, am I frustrated? Am I caught up in the fear of it? I don't know. But it's frustrating. And it's also, you know, um, oh my goodness. They're trying to suck me into the turmoil. If I think about this too long, it creates turmoil in my brain. They don't have to bring it to me. I can create it on my own. Holy crap, I can create my own fears. And I'm in my own twilight zone. I'm in my own turmoil that's part of the greater turmoil. Holy shit, how'd I get here? Right. And so, but it creates stresses in us. It will make your joints ache. It will make you bend over and wish you had a cane because it will cripple you. And with elections and stuff coming up, they're really going to be selling it. Okay. From all different kinds of angles, they're going to be selling the turmoil. So we have to help our friends and neighbors stay out of it. And we can help each other simply by saying, do you see what's going on? Yeah, I see what's going on. Good. As long as you can see what's going on. And I'm not the only one who thinks this is crazy as hell. Okay, so we can commiserate together. That's what I'm here for. Let's commiserate that some of this stuff is just flipping insane. It's nonsense. I mean, I know I'm getting old and I know I've been around here a few years, but you and I have shared some of this stuff over the last few years. And they're at it again. I mean, quite frank, they're at it again. How fucking stupid do they think we are? They're at it again. Actually, they're still at it. It's not at it again. But this Jen Psaki, right, who was the president's spokesperson, uh, um, House reporter thingy, right? She's going to get her own NBC. She's going to be now on MSNBC. Oh, really? As the reporter who's going to who is going to who's going to explain things to us, right? She would lie through her teeth as the press secretary thingy, right? Thank you, Susie Q, press secretary. I, I was coming around to it any minute and you put it in there. Thank you. But as being press secretary, now she's going to have her own show and get paid. Well, she was paid for press secretary, but the idea though, but now she's going to do it. She quit as press secretary to move on, blah, blah, blah. What, so she could get paid more money at a media place to continue to explain the lies? I mean, holy crap. So, folks just ain't going to get a break, you know. So I see the turmoil that they want to stir up. Old Joe, who's really kind of slow. And some of the comments he made, don't jump out of the balcony. Um, what? He is getting lost. I mean, I can get, you know, slightly disoriented once in a while, but that poor man, he needs a seeing eye dog, or a seeing eye person, possibly, other than his wife, but she works. And the idea that, I listen to other, I listen to Australian news and Korean news, and I listen to different news outlets around the world. I don't just listen. In fact, I listen very rarely to Fox or anybody, but I listen to the foreign countries to see what they have to say about us and about the situation. And oh my God, some of the commentaries in Australia about the politics of here are like, man, holy crap. I'm glad you guys are saying it because nobody over here is going to say it. The odd person on Fox or something, but they're nailing folks to the wall through their commentary because they got nothing to lose. But they're saying what a lot of Americans, I mean, if you ain't listening to, the, hang on a sec, let me, I'll, Sky News Australia. And let's see, Sky News Australia. Hang on a second. Um, well, that's Hawaiian. Sky News. I was trying to give you. There's one from Korea and South Korea. Oh, Arang News. ARIRANG News. That's one. Um, but so I listen to different and monitor different um, news outlets around. It's hard to get RT Russian television because they pretty much disallowed them from putting stuff on YouTube and whatever. But to listen to what the Ukrainians say, and it comes through from different other news outlets other than American or British. But when you get somebody else's point of view and they're pointing out stuff, it's like y'all can see it in Korea, but people in America can't understand this. What? I mean, what? They're Korean for crying out loud. Yeah, I know. But what? Yeah, I couldn't really see the moon earlier, Michelle, because the trees were in it. And it was so far to the north. Yeah, I was going to I'll have to wait till I go back outside and then it'll clear the trees that are to the east of here. But just a couple of nights ago, I was sitting here in the chair and I could see it through the windows. And I could see it through that window right there and everything. And now it's like it's way overhead, but it got there really quick. But so there are so many levels of the turmoil. There's turmoil within the families. What should we do with, you know, my brothers having issues with their pop, my brother, and how they're going to take care of him? What's going to happen? Is he going to go into a home? What are we going to do with his house? He can't take care of himself. So, what are we going to do? So, there is turmoil within families, not necessarily bad, but because of circumstances. That wow, things were kind of humming along, but you know um now that dad's gotten sick and he's getting, he's got a heart condition and he can't walk and we can and so it's created situations, right, which has created turmoil, which also creates fear. What are we going to do? I don't know. Well, what's going to happen? Well, it depends on if he gets well. What about his heart condition? We don't know. What about his diabetes? What if they have to cut off one of his legs? Oh my God, what are we going to do then? And who's going to fear of the unknown, fear of the turmoil? Well, we're going to have to, I'm not going to be able to go. I'm going to have to stop and take care of him. I'm going to have to quit doing this and devote more time to that. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to, it creates turmoil. And so there's turmoil on personal levels like that. I mean, me having a heart attack has created my own personal turmoils. I got to keep up with this freaking medicine I'm taking. Now, to all y'all who have sent me wonderful prayers and so forth, I'm very grateful. And my blood pressure is down. It was 120 over 65 with a 56 heart rate just a couple hours ago. So it's way down from the 150s and 60s I was in just a couple of weeks ago. So my blood pressure is down and is being consistent and staying down. But I got 10 medicines that I must take every day and five of them twice a day. So I'm taking 15 different types of stuff that I wasn't used to. So, compromises. At first, I'm still skeptical, but I'm out of the fear stage. That what are all these meds going to do to my body? What otherwise? And what's the long term effects of this? And what about my heart? I'm still wearing my heart monitor for one more day, and that'll be my 30 days with the heart monitor. But the fear of the battery going out. I hear the little thing going doo doo, and it says I'm out of range when I'm just sitting across from the damn thing, and it's not connected, and blah blah blah. So I've been living with my own turmoil, personal turmoil, brought on by circumstances I had not planned on. So there are turmoil in a lot of different levels for a lot of different people. And like for myself, I cannot, over the years, I've discussed this, when the fear starts to come in, I got to stop and go, nah, we cannot allow this. Me, myself, and I, we cannot allow this fear to, okay, I got it, but I've got fear that this will happen. Okay, but I got to deal with it. And, because of my heart attack, do I feel I'm closer to death? Yeah, but I'm not living every day like I'm going to die. Well, yeah, we're all going to die, but it has surely brought, a different sense of reality to me, and that I'm very vulnerable after having this heart attack, but I don't live in fear of it every day. I want to lick it. How much better I get, we'll see. But can I maintain and still live a full life and still, attain certain things and do and whatever? Yeah, I'm just going to have to do it at a different pace. That's all. Rather than, well, I give up. I've got heart failure now, and my life is over, and I'm not going to be able to. Well, I'm 70 years old, for crying out loud, and in some ways my life is over. There are certain shit I just can't do anymore, and I just have to learn to get over it. I'm 70, and all the wishful thinking in the world is not going to make me 50 again, or 40 again, or whatever, or 60 again, which would even be pretty good at this point. But the idea, though, that I ain't dead yet, neither. So, we got to stop, this self turmoil, self doubt, the fear of, now I now have a heart condition. Oh, I could die if this, well, yeah, well, there's a lot of other things that could kill me too. But to the point though, um, so I'm, quote, more worried about living tomorrow. Let's get through now. Tomorrow, I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm talking, I'm walking. I'm grateful. Thank you to the universe. And instead of worrying about, oh, I might die tomorrow, I want to be grateful that I'm still here. And with a little bit of luck, I'll be here tomorrow along with y'all. And so we can stop fearing and be grateful that we're still here. Be grateful that we're still friends. Be grateful that we can still communicate with each other. Be grateful that we can share our fears and put them to rest, and know that my friend Michelle may have a similar fear than me. And together we can look at each other, or, speak to each other and go, do you, yeah, I fear this too, but I got your back, girl. Yeah, I got your back too, Hawkeye. And with that it's a shared, and the fear goes away, and we can contemplate our fears together and take the stress out of them, and we're not afraid anymore, because we can face those fears, and we know that there are other people like us that have those fears, and that together we can face them and go, we got this. And instead of becoming part of the turmoil with our fears, we can face them and go, we got this. Ain't that right, Michelle? I'm picking on you, girl. But I mean, to all of us, we can face it. We can deal with it. One way or the other, we got this. For the other, which moon it's you that's trying to give up cigarettes, right? I'm trying to give them up too. Well, the other day, I realized that I had smoked almost a pack of cigarettes, and I don't know how. I just know that when I was counting cigarettes, and I'm trying to stay in the half pack range or less. And the other day, I looked around and I was counting my packs of cigarettes, because I will buy 5 or 6 packs at a time. There's 3 packs up there in storage. You've been backsliding? Oh, God love you. So did I. That's why I'm here to confess. I backslid the other day, and I just looked around and went, there's a pack of cigarettes, like, missing. Like, wait a minute. One, two, three, four, five. Wait a minute. There's only four. Actually, there's only three and a half. Wait a minute. There's a whole pack. Where'd that sucker go? Somehow I smoked it, and by myself. I didn't have no help. And I don't think I lost a pack. I mean, I didn't go nowhere. It's not in the truck. I smoked that puppy. So today I was like, there have been several times where I have pulled out a cigarette and said, nah, you smoked a whole pack the other day, and was not even aware that you smoked the whole damn pack. And I put that cigarette right down here on the table or beside me. And I'm guilty. I feel guilty because that whole pack just disappeared, you know. Um, and there ain't nobody holding a gun to my head saying I can't smoke if I don't want to, you know. Um, Heart issues or not, there was a part of me, like Angel and the Devil, that was chatting back and forth. And one side said, well, you already done this much damage. You're 70 years old. How much more damage can you do? Light that some bitch up and let's just go ahead and have a smoke. And the angel was like, but dipshit, you know, you've been smoking for the last 50 some odd years, literally, actually more like 60 some, because I started smoking when I was 12 and 13, honestly. And, that, wait a minute, hang on. But just because I'm turning 70, don't give me the right, well, to just say, F it. I've smoked for these last 60 years, for crying out loud, 55. So what's a couple more years going to do to me? You know? Well, that's a really crappy way to look at it, because it can also affect my lungs, my COPD, and other stuff. And I'm 70. Pay attention. I'm not this young kid anymore. My activities have changed. So, and I'm going in for a test on Thursday to check out some of this stuff. So, hey, pay attention. Um, okay. put the cigarette down, Dave, you know. And like this butt here, that's about a third of the cigarette that I lit and took a couple of puffs and then put it out. And if I light this again, I'll get a couple of drags. And because it's so short, it's really hard on me to smoke. And I'll only take a couple of drags and it'll be out. So this is how a lot of the cigarettes end up, me smoking them 2 or sometimes 3 times. It's still wrong for me to be smoking, but it has been a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And part of it is because I'm sitting around fidgeted and being fearful of what this heart monitor is doing. It's been really weird. I'm I'm smoking 2 or 3 more cigarettes more since I've been out of the hospital than I was smoking before I went in the hospital. What? Yeah, I was easy 4, 5 cigarettes a day, no problem. Easy half a pack. I was like 3 days for a pack of cigarettes. Now I look around and go, I smoked that pack of cigarettes. So I'm smoking more now than I did before I went in. And I wasn't, I was just wanting to quit smoking. So odd set of circumstances. Now, not every day is it like that, but I've noticed it's like, well, why do I want to smoke more now when absolutely there's 10 medicines sitting over here and a heart monitor I'm on and all this, and I'm smoking almost a pack of cigarettes now instead of less than a half. What the hell? I'm still working on it. But rather than getting caught up in my own turmoil, I have to look at the practicality of it. Do you want that cigarette? Oh God, yes, I do. And I think there's part of me that's like wants to smoke as many of them as I can, like now, because in a month or two, I'm like gonna really have to quit smoking. I mean, it's a really odd feeling. So which moon? Listen, I'm going through this. It's so flippin' odd that in the last month, because I've had this monitor on for a month now, and I'm on my last day. That for some reason the urge of wanting to smoke is stronger than it was before I started all this mess. I don't know what the turmoil is, but I'm facing it. I've wanted to smoke this cigarette here now for the last hour, and I haven't lit it. So, you know, and there's the rest of that pack sitting over there that I swear to goodness it better not be smoked tonight. Of course, it's tomorrow already, and I'm not sure how much later I'll be awake, but the idea though that everybody's facing some kind of turmoil. We're all in this boat together. For whatever reason, we're in the boat, you know? And I will stand behind you. Come on, brothers and sisters. We got to, rather than which moon, rather than beat yourself up over, I smoked too many cigarettes today, then for me, it's like, oh, wow, I smoked too many the other day. Then I'm going to make it a point, like for today, to just no, because I lost control. Today I was like, nah, I'm sorry. I'm going to light this one. No, you ain't. Put it down. And there's that guilty feeling, but it's more that the other day I lost control. Today I'm going to gain control. So rather than beat myself up over what I did the other day, apparently, because a pack of cigarettes is gone, I think it's because I was watching football and just monitoring some things and light a cigarette. It'd go out, and And I got a very small ashtray, so the butts end up in the garbage can, and I don't see how many I've been smoking. So I started lining them up beside the ashtray here, and go, ooh, there's 3 cigarette butts laying beside the ashtray. Oh, there's 3 cigarette butts laying beside the ashtray. Where the other day I'd put it beside the ashtray, and then when I was sure it was out, I'd throw it away. So I was not keeping up. Anyway, we make the choice. So my choice today was no, I'm not just gonna um, pay attention. I'm gonna pay attention. Nope, sorry. I know you want that cigarette, but you know, you had enough the other day. And it's not that I beat myself up with feeling guilty. I want to be able to control this and not let it get out of hand. And because when you're not thinking about it and you smoke arbitrarily, and the next thing you know, a pack of cigarettes is gone, that is absolutely not healthy. So I want to gain control. So it's like today was like, nah, I got this. No, you can't have this till later. You got to wait till after 5 to smoke that cigarette. So I still knew I was going to smoke some, but I wouldn't smoke it at the moment. I would postpone it. And that's my control. And I can do that. I can give into it if I want to. Or I can go, nah, come on, we're stronger than this. You have a flippin' heart condition, idiot. It's not just about smoking. You got a bad heart. Pay attention. Okay, put it down. So, for whatever gets you into not wanting to follow through on it or whatever, but I'm using this as I'm going to be stronger. If I'm going to be stronger because I'm going to put the cigarette down, I'm going to be stronger because by not smoking that cigarette, I am going to prolong the health of my heart. I am going to prolong the health of my lungs. So, yeah, for everyone I don't smoke, that's just going to be a couple of minutes I'm going to be able to breathe in the future. And I want to be here in the future. So that's a good impetus to try to continue on with a better behavior. So don't beat yourself up about it. Just do better. Sometimes we backslide, and we just ask the Creator to give us strength to not backslide. But there are so many folks who backslide to the point of the next thing you know, you give up and you're smoking and smoking, and another pack is gone. And it's really easy to do because I could see it sort of happening to me the other day. And I got caught up in it. I was like, nah, and we got to do better than this. Because I was doing better than this before I went in the hospital. And then I knew officially that I had a heart condition. Holy crap, why am I doing so poorly now? Hmm, because I shouldn't have them. Hmm, because you need to give these up. So now I want to smoke more. It's weird. It's very weird, let me tell you. But anyway, there's all types of stresses and things and fears and stuff that we get locked into. So, and every one of us is human. We all got our little battles that we have to face. And I will continue to pray. Let's see. Let's keep on oxygen. Smoke must blow. Oh God, yeah. My recent first wife, who we weren't married, uh, whether we quit smoking or not, we will at least agree that we will cut down. That when we really want a cigarette, we ask ourselves, do we really want it now, or is this just chain smoking, or that we will, be more aware of our smoking, at least. Whether we actually quit and lay them all down, I've tried too many times and have failed. So in my older life, but can I maintain that it's just a couple? Can I make sure that it's never a pack a day again? Can I promise that I'm going to be as calm and more in control of my smoking habits versus, if you only smoke a couple a day anyway, then okie doke. Um, because there's just something about having that cigarette when you've had a good meal or there's been a stressful moment or you almost got hit by a train. Light that bitch up. Now I ain't had sex in a long time, so it used to be after good sex a smoke was necessary too. But after a really good meal, to just sit down and have a smoke, I, I don't know. It just is like part of the deal. But anyway, my dear friends, it has been a good day. All and sort of. I'm still dealing with my medicines, and I'm having issues. Hey, Miss Delaney, how you doing? Um, I'm still having itching. If you can see that I'm poking at my mustache and my face is itching like you would not believe. So one or a combination of these medicines are making my face itch. I thought it was the mask. Mm. And I'm still coughing up white stuff, which has been very interesting because I have not had a treatment late yesterday or today. And so I'm still coughing up this white stuff and the marshmallowy looking stuff. Now, see right here at the moment, and I have held my bowl and held my cigarette and said, now, which would you really rather have? If I shouldn't be smoking either one, or either one, or neither one, or neither one. But if I were to smoke, I would rather have what's in here versus what's in here. So I have picked a cigarette up and looked at my bowl and said, wait a minute, I'd rather have this at the moment and put my cigarette down. So I don't smoke a lot of this anyway. So I'm learning to sip. Well, I don't know about the CBD. That's a totally different thing than cigarettes to me. Um, Earlier today, I was so whacked out and had not had a cigarette, nor had I had anything else to smoke. And I was trying to get my head together, having had my meds for the day, at least up to that point, and looking out the window going, man, I can't put, as the old saying goes, I can't put two coins together. And it was like having trouble here. So I was like, well, maybe if I smoke take me a hit or two. So I'd had a present somebody had left me, and I tried some of that, and it made things worse. Ended up taking a nap. 2 hours later, I wake up and going, God, I got to shake this. I really want to get up and do something today. And it's pushing afternoon. And so I say, let me try another flavor. and see if that does me any good. So I take 2 hits and sit still. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, wow, I can see the day. And my brain starts to like get in line. And I'm starting to think a little clear. And I go, well, I'm going to have one more of them, take another hit. And like, wow. And I got up, and me and the dog went outside and went up and got the mail. And not a lot, but a lot more than I was doing before. So there are types of, I will say CBD, just to keep it simple, that are more of a mood enhancer, and some of them are more of a sit in the chair, look out the window. And at least for me, especially with these new medicines, are just put me out, put me down. And that's not where I want to be, regardless of my age, but my mental, I want to be able to do some things, at least be awake. If it's nothing more than catch up on the news, or do some reading material, or clean my damn house, or take garbage up to the top of the hill, whatever it is, to get a little something done versus be a vegetable. And there are some days that it's hard for me to come out of the vegetable stage, and I don't know how I get there or why. And some of the dreams, oh, I need to have a different video on some of the dreams that I've had recently. Let me just, because while you all are here at the moment, I had this dream that was clear as a bell. I mean, clear. Now, we were being presented by society. Now, I kind of think it has something to do with aliens, but not. But that people were basically like lemmings, okay? And they all just walked together and straight off the cliff. Well, there were groups of folks and small groups that got together and walked together. And then I noticed as I'm walking with people, because we were supposed to go somewhere. So I'm walking along and observing these people. And we'd go like into a parking lot, and then into like down a sidewalk. And there were just different places where people were walking in rows in different attire, business, casual, summer wear, but mostly just ordinary folks just walking in this direction. And nobody's looking around, nobody's talking, nobody's paying attention, nobody's worried about anything. Some people got little smiles on their faces, and they're just walking. And so then we're walking in corridors, and then we're walking in hallways, and then we're walking in this. Then it gets like really super duper kind of high end, moving into the sci-fi, because now we're in these cubicles of sort, and there are cubes, like really big square cube type things, and that people, I can see over to the left and over to the right, that there are people walking down these corridors, if you will, but can be seen. So like a balcony of sorts, okay? And but the people are walking, and there's like spaces, and there's another cube, but in between there's this foggy white. So I'm walking along with these folks, and I look to my right, and there are seats like you're walking in a stadium. So, and there are seats on the other side of where people are walking. So think of a stadium, and people are coming in from the top and walking down this stadium, and that you get to the like where the next level is. Well, you think people are going to walk down the stairs or whatever. These people literally just walked off and fell into oblivion. they fell into nothing. And the people just kept walking. And I was walking, there was a guardrail. And so got out of line and stopped at the guardrail and was watching the people coming down the stadium, if you will. It wasn't a stadium setting, but use that as your visual because it was very similar. And but when they got to where they would supposedly go down to the next level of seating, they just walked off and just there was no screaming, there was no hollering, there was no nothing. And there was no guards, there was nobody with guns or anything. But there was a I'm going to use the word porter. Somebody that like takes your ticket or is watching a porter. So there was a person with their back up to the guardrail, looking up at the crowd, which wasn't many people seated, and then there on the other side of the line of people, and then there was one on quote my side of this cube. And so I'm looking at the people that are sitting down, and they're like they're watching the people just fall off the edge of this cube, right? And I'm thinking to myself, why don't any of these people stop? Where are they going? And can't they see that the person in front of them is just like falling into oblivion? And so I stop and I'm looking over the edge, and this porter on my side, I can't think of another, you know, security guard, it didn't seem to have a weapon, but there was this thing, I think it was a cube, and it was an odd color, reddish or orangish, that it was like, here, he wanted to push me into line. And I was like, no, if all these people sitting here, if they got a choice, I'm gonna go sit down. And he was like, no, you're gonna get in line. And I'm like, no, I ain't getting in line. So there was this pushing and shoving, and he had this cube that he was like, I think it was like trying to get me to eat it or put it in my mouth or something. It was like, and I was like, buddy, and pushed him against the rail to where he was leaning back like this. And I was like, had gotten to the point where you can go get in line and fall over the edge, or I'll push you over this freaking railing. But no, and then he tried to get my back to the rail, and that didn't work. And I overpowered him and made sure, and I was fixing to push this guy who was sort of dressed like like a oh, what do you call the people that give you a seat, that they used to, at least in the theater, and they dressed in their little uniforms. It was almost like that, but trying to get me to go over the rail, and I was, screw this. And I came around to the right hand side and came up a couple of steps and sat down and was looking at the other people, and they were watching me and watching this guy. And folks were just coming down this aisle and just walking off into oblivion. And then when you looked over there, there was another cube. Like if you were looking around the stadium, people were doing the same thing. And it was like the oddest thing. But while I'm watching it, I'm like really watching this. And my spirit guides are like, Dave, Hawkeye, are you paying attention to this? And I'm like, yeah, but what does it frickin' mean? What is it with these people that are just walking off and they can see the person in front of them fall, but nobody tries to get out of line? There's a few people sitting on the left side of the line of the aisle, if you will. And there's, I don't know, maybe 15 of us ish on our side of the aisle. And nobody was freaking out. There wasn't anybody trying to stop anybody in the group. I was watching the people go by going, I part of me was like, is there anybody that I recognize? And I was looking at their faces, and they were just all like, do 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 do, and just fall. They were falling for it. And so part of this discussion tonight about the fear and the turmoil, like there are people, I guess, that are just falling for it. And there are those of us with a little bit of common sense that are pulling out of the column going, no, we ain't buying it. We ain't falling for it. And we're not necessarily putting up a big whoop-de-doo or anything, but we're going to sit this one out. Y'all keep going and fall off that cliff if you want to, but no. And there's room. There's still room. Y'all, there's still some of y'all in the column who could come and sit with us. It ain't like this whole section's full. So it was a really interesting, and I mean, it was real. When I woke up from that one, I was like sweating and going, holy cow. Because I was walking with them. I could see the people. I could smell the aftershave. I could feel the crowd. It was weird, y'all. And sort of a premonition, because that's what they were telling me. They were like, pay attention to this. And I was like, every detail I could detail. But it was basically down the stadium and off the cliff. Not a scream, not a murmur, nobody fighting. There was nobody making people do it, but that guy who was trying to the um an usher. That's the word, an usher. So, the ushers that were there to like they were just kind of watching things and not talking to anybody. But when I was looking over the rail and had walked up there and had decided to not be in the line, he would tried his damn best to get me over the edge or back in line. We had a tussle, and I made it clear to him. It was like it ain't gonna me that go. It's not gonna be me that goes over. Okay, you can just leave me be, but if you continue with this tussle, it ain't going to be me that goes over the rail. That's all there is to it. It's not going to be me. But you must, and if you think you're going to put me over the rail or get me back in that line, the answer is no. Now you can just leave me be, but if it's going to be you or me that goes over it, it's going to be you, you know. And there was a good tussle, and I was like, I couldn't believe it how much strength that I had in that my stubbornness in that, oh no, you ain't, was like, oh no, you ain't. You may be bigger than me, but oh no, you ain't. And you may think I'm a pathetic old fool, but oh no, you ain't. And I proved it, you know, because I had him backwards and with his feet up, fixing to go over. I'm not sure if I actually pushed him or not. There's a part of me that says he went over, but I was trying to state my point. I don't want you to go over. You don't want to. You're standing guard. But if you're going to try to make me, then you're fixing to go, Bubba. You're on your way. And my reflecting on the fact that I was pushing someone quite possibly to their death. But there. I had them teetering on the rail, on their back like this, and It was like, a little bit of shove and you're gone. But I would just as soon let you down, but you got to leave me alone. You know, don't want to hurt you, don't want to kill you, don't know where this goes, but if you want to stay on this side, then you quit making, you quit trying to put me over the side. And I'm not sure if he went over. There's a part of me that can't remember him standing after I took my seat and I was looking at the railing. I don't remember him standing there after I sat down. So I'm not sure if I pushed him the rest of the way over the edge or if they had just moved but after I sat down, he wasn't standing there in front of the railing. That's interesting. Don't know if I killed him or not, but I was, it's not going to be me. And interesting, I could feel the strength and the willpower, and no, I'm not going over the edge, and that there was nothing else there. There were no guards or policemen or anything. It was only these few ushers that were standing around, but it was the mindlessness of everybody. And nobody stopped to like look at us sitting down. Whereas as I was walking with the crowd, and I walked through different scenarios. We walked outside, we walked through a parking lot, walked through like a covered overhang on a walkway, like at a school or something. And, and we all just walked together. Nobody was in a hurry. There was no arguing. It seemed pleasant. And part of it was like, is this what the aliens want? We're all going to go somewhere. They're going to show us something. Are we going to an auditorium? Where are we going? So that was as we got into the hallways and corridors, and then we got into the sci-fi shit. And then there was this cube thing, and it was like all around. It was, for lack of a better explanation, it was like a a stadium, in that there were seats above and people walked down, and there were things below us, and but I was more concerned with the cubicle thing that where I was located. But anyway, so my spirits woke me up and said, now you think about that one for a little bit. And I was like, whoa. So you could use the sheeple thing where all the sheep are following each other, and the lemming things where, that everybody's going to follow each other, and off into oblivion we go. And I thought to myself, while I was in the dream, I was, it's one of them few dreams where I was really in control. I wasn't just watching it. I was absolutely making choices and participating, and, looking over the edge and coming back, and because I could hear the spirits while I was in the dream going, pay attention to this. But there wasn't much detail. I was paying attention, by golly, you could bet. But it was just, why are these people not objecting and just walking off? It wasn't like, it was so strange in that they were oblivious as to, it was almost like falling off was like what was supposed to happen. It was what came next. There was no argument. There was no denial. It was like, yeah, we're all going to walk off the edge of this, and none of us are going to stop or complain. Or it was really, really weird being in the presence of these people while they were falling into this oblivion. It was like white clouds looking over the edge. There was just nothing there, just nothing there. But not too far off, from where I was standing, was another cube. And it seemed like people were just appearing and disappearing. They were like, I don't know where they were coming from, but they were walking in just rows of people, not being squashed, not being pushed. They were just walking, and nobody looking side to side. It just weird. But from my standpoint, I was the one that was observing the whole thing. I was the one that was like, "Hey, y'all, well, what's going on?" And trying to ask somebody, and what are y'all people doing? And I could feel my spirit presence while I was standing, I don't know, about 4 or 5 steps above where the rail was and where people were dropping off. And I just stepped off to the side and I was like, what y'all doing? And I looked over here and I saw these people sitting down, and some of them had like really quizzical, puzzled looks on their faces. So, but anyway, so they told me to remember this dream, that there's prophecy in it. And I was like what? People are just gonna follow along and fall for something. Okay, I get it. If that was the whole dream, and me arguing with the guy to go over the rail was like, nah, I ain't going. Nah, I ain't falling for this. Literally. So is that just it? But boy, was it real. And it was like whatever it was that they were falling for was like a really big deal. That's the message I got. Whatever all these people are going to fall for, it's a really big deal. And a bunch of people are going to fall for it. So there's the message, but Lord have mercy that, I mean, I'm sitting here right now retelling it, and I can feel myself being being there and watching these folks, and it's creepy. It's a right now it feels creepy. So anyway, that's the prophecy that they gave me, or dream, or whatever that you want to take it. So this conversation tonight, in a lot of ways, has to do with that dream, in that we can't fall for it. We can't fall for, the fear. We can't fall. We just can't fall for it. You know, we got to pay attention. And because we are a group and we are members of the League of Like Minded Beings, then we have each other's support in this. Together we can go, nah, we ain't falling for it. And there's strength in numbers. So those 15 or so people that were sitting off to the side of all the other folks that were walking off the edge, uh, you know, it's many of your faces maybe that we're the ones that are going to go, no, sorry, we're going to sit this one out. We're watching y'all. We're in the stadium. We're participating because we're here. We're observing what's going on, but we ain't walking off the edge. That's the difference, right? We're here. We're not sure what's going on, but So this dream, it was so real. It's been hard to like get out of my head, like go away. Now maybe after having described it to you all, they'll let it rest. But after such a dream like that, they will pester me until I have a conversation with y'all, or until I have a discussion about it, or something about it. So maybe because I've disclosed the dream, which I was going to talk about anyway. I just didn't know it was going to be right now. That's all, you know. But what time is it? Oh man, I missed another 20. Fox, how you doing? Anybody else in? I'm seeing the numbers fluctuate over here on and who's in the chat room or who's actually watching or said hi or whatever. It's okay, y'all. I love you. And I was sitting around earlier today trying to get my head from being just wackadoodle. Um, Hope you're doing well, Fox. It's good to see you. Honest. I haven't been on in a while, especially this early or late in the morning. Hey, Miss Pearl again. And I'm kind of they were arguing about me not being on more, just to have conversation and to just be together and just be here. So because of the turmoil, hey Ed, how you doing? You're here too, Ed. Can't sleep. That's great. Well, in a way, it's great that you're here, but not that you can't sleep. But and I've been sitting in this chair now for about 2 hours with Robert V, and now I'm back to sit here, and it's been an hour and 51 minutes, and I got a butt ache. My butt talks need rearranging here in the seat. But my spirit guides were like, Hawkeye, you gotta hang out with these folks some more. You just need to be there to let's let's be friends in the simple idea that each of us are having turmoils in our lives in our own personal ways, whether we share them or there are any likenesses or not. We share the fact that each of us has turmoils in their lives, some greater than others. But what does that draw upon us? And it's fearful. What's going to happen next? I don't know if I'm going to have a heart attack tomorrow and not be here, but I'm not going to look at it that way. There are things with money and circumstances and politics and stuff, and oh my God, all the things that we can be worried and oh my, we're all going to die, and the food shortage. Well, the food shortage was supposed to have already happened, and millions of us were already supposed to have starved to death by now. And there were so many of us that were going to die from this, and there's so many of us that were going to, and a lot of that just ain't happened, at least not yet. October, the 1st of October is supposed to be when the great big light change thing happens and the great event happens and the ET shows up, and it's going to be the 1st of October ish, or at least by the 1st of no, the first 2 weeks of November. Here we go again. Um, Ooh, oh, I got a cramp. Oh, that hurt. Ouch. I got to stretch this one out. Cramp. Owie, ow. Ow. Cramp. Sitting in one place too long. Owie, ow. Cramp. Ooh, wee. Sorry about that. Cramp. Time for now, Mr. Laney. Sleep well. But my spirit guides were like, there has to be a forum in the middle of the night for us folks to get together and commiserate, hang out. And I was like, I don't really have a problem with that, having chat with them. And that I was Before the heart attack, I was, considering slowing down and not doing as many live streams just for the hell of it. And I was like, nah, we can't go there. And they've been showing me that no, if anything, since my heart attack, it has shown me that there are folks who actually need a hangout in the middle of the night, for those folks, sleepless folks like Ed and the rest of us of like minded beings, so that we can have a chat and talk about shit. And hopefully, so I asked them, I said, well, then at least give me topics that are pertinent, that will, for me, as you probably know, I'm searching continuously for positive things, regardless of the crap that goes on in my life, your life, in the world. You know, we got to find those positive things. I positively love this time of year. It's in the 60s right now. Oh my God. I turned the air conditioner off and opened the windows. Oh my God. It's lovely. I'm almost ready to put on a long sleeve shirt. It's wonderful. So there are things within a day or an evening or a 24-hour period or whatever. But if we remember the simple things, regardless of how crazy and frustrating life is, and watching all these crazy people in politics and government and in big business, and just holy crap, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, whether you smoke or not. Take a deep breath and just say, nah, y'all ain't gonna affect me. I got my eye on you, but nah, we got this. As a collective, we got this. But here's one thing. Ooh, that was a good one. There's one thing I've noticed, though, that there are some people, and I was guilty of this years ago, so I can speak on this, that are just getting off on the worrying part. Oh, but what about this? And what about that? And there was I did a video way back about the sky is falling. And I could see where the sky really was falling, as far as politics tumbling down and things falling. The old, Chicken Little. Sky is falling, the sky is falling. And now, in so many words, there are a lot of people who are like, man, the sky has been falling, right? And in some ways, literally. Um, the stocks are tumbling and the prices are falling and things are skyrocketing, but the end result is prices are high, but you know um our buying power is falling, and this is up, and but that is down, and this is up, the so of course there's turmoil. And any normal sane person would be, excuse my French, would be fucked up by what's going on in the world today. Under any normal circumstances, a normal person's pea brain would be fucked up with what's going on today. What are we going to do? The church, the this, the that, the up, the down, the government. Are we all gonna with World War III was supposed to have started already. It hasn't yet. Russia still hasn't crushed the Ukraine. The Ukraine, "Ooh, we got more land back," and the war hasn't escalated, and things, and but we're still sending billions of money, and now the government is like, we sent billions of dollars worth of weapons to the Ukraine, and the Ukraines have been the news yesterday and today was how the Ukraines have been selling NATO weapons that were given to them. They're selling them for money to other places. It's like, so billions of dollars of weapons to help them were sent to the Ukraine to help stop, and they've been getting them, and literally it's like, well, we don't know how many we've gotten because we lost the piece of paper. Literally, they interviewed folks over there, and they're like, well, we got a bill of lading. They gave us a list on a piece of paper of the weapons we were getting, but I can't find the paper. And are there copies? No. Is there a list? No. Can you remember? Well, we got some tanks and bazookas and surface to air missiles and but I can't remember. We got some other stuff too, but I mean, that's in the news in the last couple days. So, but Biden and them want to send them more. And they're saying, sure, send it over here. We got some Afghanis that would like to buy some. We know some Pakistanis that would like to have a few of these weapons. And guess what? We get the money because y'all don't know that you sent it to us, and we can sell it at whatever price we want to. We can sell them for $2 or $200 or $2 million. Whatever the market goes for, and nobody cares and nobody knows. And so now there all of this stuff that we, the Americans, and woo, uh, and it's all over the news. It's not in our news, it's in their news. It's in the Russian news, it's in the UK, it's in the Australian news, it's in the Korean news, it's in the German news, it's in the news all over the place, it's in Spanish, it's in German, that the Ukrainians have been taking these weapons and selling them. Now, how stupid, so my point to some of this is like, well, duh. There were those of us who knew that, there were some shenanigans going on with why Putin and the Russians went in there to begin with, but that we're supposed to be dead by now with all these weapons, and that World War III was going to happen. And here we are, trying to support one group, and they're selling them to the rest of the world to the highest bidder. That's just funnier than hell. I mean, come on. Can we not see the humor in this? Like, oh man. And they can't hide from it. They've been trying to hide how much they've sent over there. But here, as you all know me, I have to ask that question, why? You gotta always throw this question in. Why? Well, why are they sending them? Okay, that's because they've got a surplus. And since we're not at war, and the manufacturers of said weapons would like to make more to keep their employees going and to keep their companies going, So if they don't use them, or somebody buys them, sells them, or something, then there is a large parking lot full of anti-tank weapons, or 40 millimeter cannons, or whatever is being produced by the manufacturer of these things. So we got to send them somewhere in order for the manufacturers here or wherever to be able to make more. So they got to get sent out. They got to rotate the stock. So we're going to send it to them, for free. NATO was the one highlight was um, the Ukraine, subject to, the fact that they were caught selling UN, which is us, caught selling UN weapons, to other parties. And so it's a scandal over there now. And of course, we've sent how much stuff? Reportedly sent. Did it ever get there? Did it actually go? And did it actually get to the Ukraine? Or was it sideswiped for somebody else anyway? But the question, go back, why? Because there's a surplus here we got to get rid of so that we can make more, so we can keep the machinery going. So, of course, they've got to get rid of the old stock. Of course, they've got to move inventory. Of course, that's what keeps them in business. So, you have to look at this and go, okay, I don't really agree with this, but I understand because there is this machinery. Now, you might want to call it, because they're selling weapons, the machinery of war. But if you build up a bunch of, you know, artillery weapons, but none of them are used or get blowed up, they just get old. The people and the persons that make these weapons can only make so many, and then they're out of a job. Now, if you close down a business who's building artillery weapons, you don't really want to put them out of business, because at some point you might need to make some more. But the people who make these large castings, um, you need to know how to do it. You need the materials, you need the machines and the operators to operate the machines, so that rifling is put into the barrels, so that the parts are machined and put on, and so they become artillery pieces. So, but if you make 10,000 of them and go, oh, that's enough for now, and you shut the shop down that makes them, that's not a good thing, because it's really hard to find the people to make these things if you want to start, if you ever need more than 10,000, if you go to war or something. So you got to keep these people able to continue keeping the foundries open, the machinists operating, the machines that make the artillery weapons, they need to be maintained and kept in order. I understand it from a machinist point of view and from a factory and so forth. I get it. But at the same time, once you reach a certain point, you got too many of the damn things. So what do? You sell them, you give them away, you hope somebody else blows some up so you can keep making them. Now, that's just how it is, okay? Whether you agree with war or not, that if you want to keep making, if you want to be able to make the things that can help you or save you in war, like some good artillery rounds, or, you need to be able to keep those people making them. I'm sorry. Whether they only make 20 of them a year, it doesn't matter. You need to keep them in business. So, of course, you would send billions of dollars worth of these somewhere so that the people who are in these factories can keep making, they can keep their jobs. I'm just saying. There's method in this madness. I read an article where the Russians bought some of those weapons. Yeah, there was Ed. There was some speculation as to whether some of those arms actually did make it to the Russians. There were people who were trying to say the Russians, the Russians did it. The Russians always do. But that actually there was like it was at such a really good price they couldn't pass up the deal. You know, it was like what? Yeah, well, hey, this, it's only $100,000 for this, Abrams tank. What? Okay, we'll take two. Yeah. I mean, they're not even $1 million. We're letting them go cheap, because we don't have any place to put them, and we'd rather have the money, and we could hold out for $1 million, but you got 500 grand. We'll give you two of them, and this one's got, and this one's got a 50 millimeter cannon on it or something, whatever, anyway, or surface to air missiles or some kind of high tech whatever. We can see the Russian logos now on Abrams tanks. But here's the thing, the Russian tanks are much more superior than our tanks. If you've ever watched the tank battles that they have, the Russians kick ass. The Germans always get stuck because like the Panzer tanks and the Tigers, there were too many moving parts, and if something broke, they were like dead in the water. Well, where the Shermans could be, retrofitted and back out on the field, So there are, some of these tanks they're over designed, but the Russians, because of what they've learned over the many years of war with the Germans, their tanks go through all kinds of shit. I mean, at 50 miles an hour, whoom and splash, and over the hill they go, and they're still firing trajectories and stuff. I mean, the Germans have got, I'm sorry, excuse me, the Russians have got some deadly shit. They are not stupid or, backwards in any way. If you've ever watched the tank when they get together and they got like a route that they go, and they have to stop and then turn and shoot at a target and then go to another place, and then they literally have races through swamps and high ground, and to see how fast they can make it through the obstacle course. And the Russians kick ass every single time. I mean, against the Swiss and the French and it's not just the Russians against the Americans, but the Russians kick ass every time. So good for them, honest. You know, and they try to make it simple too, but they make some kick ass shit that can go through mud and swamps. Oh my goodness! But anyway, I would suppose that if the Russians bought anything, it'd be more as an item of like, let me see one of their stuff up close. How did they machine this? What did they make it out of? What kind of tool steel? But anyway, but the fact that it's like obvious in the news and people are talking about it, and that it's not really a secret as to where our billions of dollars went to help the Ukrainian people. And think of where we were just 6 months ago, literally in March, as to how all of this was going to change. And now, 6 months later in September, we're looking back and going, well, look what's been happening now. Oh my goodness. They've been selling the arms that we gave them. Oh, ooh, how in 6 months, how the tune has changed. So, what's the next 3 or 4 months going to bring us? Is World War III happening, though, because of the result of this, as was predicted 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago? People still predicting that World War III's fixing to happen. Yeah, because Russia's buying the UN sanctioned weapons. Oh my God, it's just so ironic and crazy. So, please don't get flustered. You got to look at some of this and just absolutely, you got to find it funny, ironical, however you want to, whatever phrase or spin, if you got to put on it. But, this crazy world we live in, we can't take some of these people serious. Are you serious? You listen to Justin Trudeau and people want out of Canada. People want out of California. People want out of New York City. People want out of these places that where they're being ruled by crazy people. They went out. They want to live where it's sane. And like, yeah, now the state of Georgia at the moment is somewhere in between. But we have this Warnock guy that kind of sort of did some slimy things to get voted in as a temporary. It was a 2-year term for senator because we had someone in the state who resigned or retired, whatever. But so there was 2 years left on it. So he's up for reelection for a full 6-year term now. And instead, there's uh, a ex football player from the University of Georgia uh, who's running against him. Now you got to say something that there are two black men running against each other for senator in the state of Georgia, which was one of the 13 original colonies and was also a penal colony and part of the slavery movement. And there was whose capital and whose uh, capital of the southern states during the Confederate War. Um, and what? No offense, but there weren't two white people who were qualified enough to run. Now, so Warnock in his commercials, I signed the bill. I'm behind Joe Biden. And so people are looking at him and going, Raphael Warnock, he signed the bill to help do this and do that. Well, I no, he should not have signed it. If he was for the state of Georgia and me, he should have vetoed that big ass stinking bill. And he's bragging about how much good it's going to do. And I'm sorry. And he's making that his selling point. I'm sorry. But whatever the other guy has or has not done is better than you who helped pass this ridiculous bill, bragging about it and how good it is for the state of Georgia and how important it is for folks to reelect you in this. I don't care who the other guy is, but I ain't voting for you. Come on. And a couple of other things. And I'm like, no, sorry, dude. You bragging about what you done did. And it's like the absolute opposite of what a lot of us Georgians want. And it ain't because you black or whatever your color is, or that you are reverend or you are whatever. It's the fact that you're bragging on what these idiots are doing in Washington and trying to shove it down our throats in Georgia, that you're doing it for our benefit. Nah, don't think so. You know, and I don't trust our Republican um, Brian Kemp, who has done some shoddy, underhanded things. But our choice for Democrat possible governor is Stacey Abrams, who still thinks she won the last election, as a quote from a couple of sources. But she does. She thought that she was ripped off from being the governor of Georgia before, and that she feels that she is absolutely qualified to run this state. And I'm like, as much as I don't like Brian Kemp, I'm not voting for her as the alternative. But I will vote for Brian Kemp to make sure that she doesn't become governor of the state of Georgia because of her political views and how this and this and that and that. And oh, please, sweet Jesus. And not because she's black and not because she's a woman. It's because, no, I'm sorry. Your point of view and your political views are just not in line with a lot of just common sense. So, but there is turmoil, is what my point about this on many levels. If she doesn't get elected again, they're going to be, people pissed about this. And that's coming up in the elections. I mean, these are things that are roiling and boiling within the state and on local levels and in people's minds, and who's going to win and who's going to lose and what's going to happen in there. So my point about, I'm discussing, Georgia politics at the moment on a brief level, but it is affecting people here in the state. I mean, I'm just curious to see how things turn out. I voted for Herschel, the football player, regardless of how smart or dumb he might be. Somebody is helping to guide him. And as he becomes a senator, because there's a lot of people that don't want Warnock, and even in the black community, they feel like they got sold out, um, because Warnock's supposed to be for, but he left a lot of the black community out with some of the shenanigans that he's pulled. So, do we want to vote for this guy for 6 years when the last 2 years has been enough? And Herschel is dumb or whatever. And well, he's claimed he was this and when he really wasn't. And he claimed that he was that, but he really wasn't. Or, well, Biden claims that he's done all kinds of shit that he ain't done. So, and he's the freaking president. So why can't a football player stretch a little here and there? But the fact that he wants to run for the state senate, actually it's U.S. Senate for the state of Georgia, is like whoever is behind him, backing him on the bigger stage, let's follow their agenda. We want another Republican in, and he's a black man. Why not? From the state of Georgia, and he's more conservative. So regardless, I would rather give a newcomer who doesn't know shit about politics to go up there and go, no, wait a minute, I'm not voting for that. Well, wait a minute, hang on, I think that's stupid. There's common sense. And so I'd rather have somebody that doesn't know anything about politics, which is basically what Herschel's running on. I don't know nothing, but I'm going to Washington. I'd rather him be there with his quote stupidity to be able to bring some common sense, possibly, because whoever's backing him has got some common sense. And so I'd much rather go there, you know, send versus a lying, cheating black man to Washington as a senator, as to a totally inept political figure black man to Washington as a United States senator for 6 years, mind you. Not that that can't be recalled or whatever, but I mean, in the state of Georgia, in the South, where they used to, they used to hang them brothers, and you know, so we have this contest. you, what? Talk about odd, and I guess in ways out of character. Like, aren't there enough rich other folks who would run for senator for the state of Georgia? I mean, that we end up not being black, but I mean, a penal colony, the state of Georgia originally, slavery, race riots, and now two black men are running for senators. What a change. I'm just saying. Not that it's necessarily good or bad, but what a difference. So, what do we get out of this, though? You get people are going, wait a minute. Now, in polite society, we won't say it, but the N word, you know, we done got two niggers running for the same seat, and either way, we're going to end up with the nigger in the White House. Now, how did the state of Georgia, after having been a prime southern state, end up like this? You follow me? Not to say that that's how I feel, but the old guard in Georgia. Either way, we end up with a nigger in the White House. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? So it's like, go ahead, Herschel, run. You know, and that's what some of the paraphernalia and stuff is saying. Because Herschel was a widebacker, fullback, or whatever for the Georgia Bulldogs. Run, Herschel, run. Sort of like, what was the movie? Anyway, um, I can't think of the movie at the moment, but that's all right. Yeah, I agree with you, Ed. Ed, I absolutely agree with you. There is some kind of paradigm shift going on. I don't know what it is. Whether it's the aliens that are still coming, or whether cosmic shifts are coming, but there is some kind of paradigm shift that, as much as my shaman side, my alter ego, I guess, the true side of me, that whether I like it or not, I get dreams, and here you go, and this is more like a, not necessarily a prophecy, but a premonition. And then, when for me, when shit happens, and then it happens again, and you have another dream, and then that one comes through, and then you go, crap. So for me in my lifetime to have some of this stuff get shown to you, and it just go ahead. It happens, and I shake my head and go, "Some bitch, there it goes again." Or, they showed me something, and here we are, right in the middle of this, and please don't show me no more. Please, y'all just. But at the same time, some of the stuff is just so obvious that the showing of the future is not necessarily in really complex prophetic dreams. It's showing you through the news and what's actually happening as to the prophecy. It's like, see what's actually transpiring? Oh, holy crap. The fact that the Russians have already taught their soldiers and have probably already used some of the weapons against the bad guys or whoever what's going on. That's just hilarious. I mean, I I don't know. It's like World War II with pick the Russians. The Russians intercept a railroad car, a railroad train full of nothing but, um, Messerschmitts, and German hand grenades and a Panzer tank or a Tiger tank or ammunition or you know a whole sidecar full of German Lugers. Just saying. I'm like, ooh, look, and then they turn around and use them against the, of course, thank God there's an ocean between us and them, both sides, all of them. Thank God there's an ocean, okay, or oceans, plural. But to watch this rhetoric and the stuff play out is just like, but we got to keep our fear. Forrest Gump, thank you, Barry. I knew somebody out there would be paying attention. I think there's stuff, Ed, in the universe. It ain't just in America. It's not just in the state of Georgia. There's just some kind of weird shift going on. And I think part of that shift includes two black men from the state of Georgia with the history of Georgia and of them hanging black men all over the damn place. I mean, they used to lynch them in Moultrie, uh, you know, um, and other places down here in the South. So the fact that there ain't no lynchings going on, but there are two running against each other for the same seat to go to Washington is like a milestone. Oh, and of the Georgia Guidestones that got torn down somehow and then removed, but that's interesting, just in and of itself. The fact that they were put up and the fact that they were torn down, just so there's some kind of paradigm shift going on. Don't know what it is, but I would say grab your popcorn and watch the show because it's going to be, however it turns out, in whichever way things go, we can accept or deny whatever is being put our way. And we should be careful before that we don't make rash decisions. Now there are certain things like, oh, it's another pandemic. We're going to lock everything down again. We ain't going to buy it. But there's already a certain portion of the population that haven't given up their masks yet. We just have to accept it. That fear is within them. If it gets brought out again, there's another pandemic. There's an 70% of us are going to go, nah. But there's going to be that 30%, 30, that's going to still be in the fear factor, that they're still going to be there. And that number might grow to 40%, but because of circumstances. So, and get your your booster shot. And oh, they say it's can cure cancer. So if you haven't had a shot of that particular brand, go get this one. It might cure your cancer, or maybe it'll kill you sooner. Either way, but so I think there's a good 60 to 70% of the people ain't going to fall for it again. There's going to be a certain percentage of that 60 to 70% that will err on the side of caution, like 10, maybe 15%, that might go ahead and get a vaccination, or that might go ahead and wear a mask if there's another quote pandemic, but that most of us just ain't going to fall for it. So no matter how hard these folks try to convince us with the fear and the commotion, that they've already lost this next round, but they're already pushing for different things. So these next few months are going to be just interesting as hell. So keep your hat on, don't get your panties in a bunch, you know, we will figure this out as a collective. There are going to be things that we're just going to have to go, holy crap, I can't believe okay, we'll make it through. I have we as a society, me as a person and livelihood and so forth, with the mistakes and idiocies that I've made in the past, with the dumb things that I've done, with just, how society and how I'm in my life, the jobs that I've lost due to economic circumstances, the money I could have made, the positions I could have had, the advancements I could have had for me and my family if it weren't for conditions, losing jobs and having manufacturing move. I mean, just the whole 9 yards, circumstances that it wasn't just me, but other people, but to the point of losing our livelihoods that we had not planned on, losing assets and jobs and our respectability and our honor, our livelihoods, our futures, uh, you know, but it was all done by big corporations, by government incentives, by this and that, beyond just the common man's. What about all these workers? No, we're moving the factory anyway. 700 people lose their jobs immediately, and not counting all of those what those 700 people did to support the businesses in the area. So nobody talked about that. Nobody gave a damn. It just happened. And so livelihoods and futures were changed. And none of it was planned by any of us. So it wasn't my fault. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't my buddy's fault that this happened, but it did. But we've all made it, is my point. Did it change our futures and our lives? You betcha. Messed up my long term plans for retirement and so forth. Having, the money that I was making was, about 32 grand a year, which is not a lot, but for me, it was great. I was going to have my house finished after the termites got into part of it and I had to rebuild it, which it's still not finished because I ran out of money. My job quit and there was nothing to replace it. And then when I finally got my disability, they shortchanged me on that due to the government. So here I am at $1,000 a month, and in some ways barely making it, but I've learned to live on barely making it. And I'm satisfied at the moment. Please don't mess me up. You can give me more, but please, Jesus, don't take it away. Um, and have learned to live on a grand a month, and be happy about it. I can be disgruntled, and should be, because I should be making almost another $1,000 a month from what was, changed by George Bush and them, and then passed on by Obama and Biden to steal money from us baby boomers. And we're making at least 40% less. I should get 40% more than what I get now, which means I should get another $400 a month. Easy, just because of where the what the gradient was back 10 years ago and what it is now. And so for as many years as I worked and how much money I put in, and they changed all that. So then when they re-evaluated, well, there's $400 or $500 a month I don't get. So they saved money in the Social Security system because Bush and them were using it for other purposes. And then so did Obama and Biden, by allowing all the immigrants and everybody to be able to receive benefits, a la versus the, guess what, Social Security system, which is supposed to be for folks who are retired and disabled. So, but this idea that somehow I'm supposed to be happy about this, nah. But I've lived through it. I'm here. I'm still making it. The lights are on. I've learned to live with this amount of money. And I'm as comfortable as I can be under the circumstances. Could life be better if I had some more money a month? Yes, without a doubt. Um, and I could help somebody else out, because if I had more money, I'd hire somebody to come help me. I would actually be helping out the community by hiring somebody. If I had $400 more a month, I'd be hiring somebody. I'd be giving them $400 a month to help me. We'd be helping. You know what I mean? So, but no, they just cheated everybody in that respect. And it ain't just me. They've cheated baby boomers and so many folks out of money and benefits too. But so we've made it, is my point. So for me, if I don't get a raise, okay, but please don't take it away from me. You know, you're giving all these illegal aliens more money each month than I get after having worked my entire life and paid into the system. That's a pisser. But at the same point, I'm still glad I have what I have. They can raise it any time. But Lord, if they start taking it away, we gonna fight. I don't know how, but we gonna fight. And there's going to be a lot, because it ain't going to be just me. It's going to be a lot of other folks that going to want to fight about it too. Can you see a bunch of old people getting riled up? you know. But anyway, listen, y'all. I love you, and we're gonna make it one way or the other. We're gonna make it. So don't let them put any fear into you. Let's stay out of the chaos, and let's just keep an eye on these crazy folks. It's going to be interesting. Ed. I'm I want to see what Thanksgiving's going to be this year, because we will have been through the midterm elections. We will have been through, gotten down into fall really well and close to winter. We'll see how the weather's doing, literally. We'll see how the weather's doing politically and how things shake out and stuff. It's going to be an interesting 2 more months. Um, and I just say, y'all just, depending on where you are, keep your damn head down. you know, um, but be aware of what's going on and stick to your guns as to who you are, and believe, 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 believe. We're going to make it to the other side, whatever the other side of it is. And whatever this big thing that many of us are feeling that's just going to happen, I can't wait for it because I just, in anticipation, there's a bunch of us that can feel this something coming. And I'm not fearful of it, but I'm damn curious. It's like, come on, get here. I want to see whatever it is that it is. I want to see it. I want to, whoa, good or bad. I want to see what it is. you know, we might not like it once, not a damn bit, but I would sure like to just see what the hell, whatever it is. If it's a tsunami that's 1,000 foot tall, okie doke. If it's I don't, whatever it might be, I would just like to see it, just to, to go, there it is. Thank you. After all this time, after all of us who have been anticipating this, there it is. Okie doke. So I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your acquaintances will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many, many blessings still left in the universe. I continue to pray every day that Duggar and I go out to play and to walk up and down the driveway and to chase the kitty cats, that we continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you and your friends and family will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. Thank you, Susie Q. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Barry. And in that law of three, which really does seem important to you and me, is that I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And yes, my friends, it does take practice. And as long as we're still alive and breathing, then we need to practice. So just keep practicing. I hope that I finally get it one of these days, but, rather than worrying about whether or not I'll ever get there, it's still fun to practice, you know, to receiving the benefits in the universe. What does that mean? Take a deep breath and hold your hands up and say, thank you. Just give thanks to the universe at the fact that you're still breathing and that you're still here, regardless of the condition you're in. Just say thank you to the universe because tomorrow's another day. Who knows? We might all be blown away, or we might all get, you know, have what they've been claiming for years now is going to be this big event to where we all get, this super duper jolt of energy from the universe. Come on, baby, I'm looking for it. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Rocking and a rolling, and we do it like this. Come on, baby. Anyway, little Fats Domino. So, good morning, my friends. Chubby Checker, thank you very much. And little Fats Domino, too. I found my thrill on Blueberry Hill. Yes, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, it's enough. Yep. Give honor to yourself, give honor to the universe. Give honor to the elders that have come before me and you. Give honor to our grandparents and our great grandparents. Give honor to those who come before us, and let's take honor in that and realize that some of the bullshit they're trying to sell us now is just, is dishonorable. But anyway, my butt aches. I got to move. I want to go see where the moon is, and I need something else to drink because I done run out. So I love you, my dear friends. Be safe, okay? Cheers. Remember, a smile goes a long way. And I promise I'll be back. They've been arguing with me to do another evening of card reading. So, Michelle, maybe you and I can talk soon. Okay, just to catch up. And Ed, thank you. Thank you for being around and thank you for your opinion. And keep a positive thought. We're going to make it through this. Don't know how, don't know when, don't know, but we're going to make it. That's what we have to keep in our hearts and in our thoughts. We are going to make this, despite what the rest of. We're going to make it. Okay, and we'll try to do it with a smile, regardless of how bad it is. Absolutely, Michelle. See, I know that regardless of what's going to happen, I'm going to make it because, like Michelle just wrote in there, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe I'm going to make it to the other side of this. Regardless, I believe. And so, keep that in our hearts. So until next time, um, 2 hours and 51 minutes. It's three something in the morning time, Eastern Daylight. And until next time, y'all please be safe. Barry, Susie, Ed, Michelle, Elderberry, all y'all, whoever else is hanging out in the background, keep sharing the love. I believe y'all are doing a good job, and we just need to keep it up. So until next time, adios, my friends. Cosmic Hugs, absolutely, and TTFN. Ta ta for now. And ween. Thank you, Bob. Bye.